Arthasya, thing. Sambandha, relationship. He, indeed. Aniccaha, temporary. Drishyate, is seen. Drishu, in human society. Yavat, as long as. Yasha, of whom. He, indeed. Sambandha, relationship. Mamatvam, ownership. Tavat, that long. Eva, indeed. He, certainly. And translation, covered by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. A few living entities are born in the human species, and others are born as animals. Although both are living entities, their relationships are impermanent. Any animal may remain in the custody of a human being for some time, and then the same animal may be transferred to the possession of other human beings. As soon as the animal goes away, the former proprietor no longer has a sense of ownership. As long as the animal is in his possession, he certainly has an affinity for it. But as soon as the animal is sold, the affinity is lost. Aside from the fact that the soul transmigrates from one body to another, even in this life, the relationship between living entities are impermanent, as exemplified in this verse. The son of Chitraketu was named Harshasoka, or jubilation and lamentation. The living entity is certainly eternal, but because he is covered by a temporary dress, the body, his eternity is not absurd. The embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age. Thus, the bodily dress is impermanent. The living entity, however, is permanent. As an animal is transferred from one owner to another, the living entity, who was the son of Chitraketu, lived as his son for some time, but as soon as he was transferred to another body, the affectionate relationship was broken. As stated in the example given in the previous verse, when one has a commodity in his hand, he considers it his, but as soon as it is transferred, it becomes someone else's commodity. Then one no longer has a relationship with it. He has no affection for it, nor does he lament for it. Nityasya ratasya sambandho hyanityo drishyate snishu yavat yasya hi sambandho mamatam yatavat eva hi. A few living entities are born in the human species and others are born as animals. Although both are living entities, their relationships are impermanent. An animal may remain in the custody of a human being for some time, and then the same animal may be transferred to the possession of other human beings. As soon as the animal goes away, the former proprietor no longer has a sense of ownership. As long as the animal is in his possession, he certainly has an affinity for it, but as soon as the animal is sold, the affinity is lost.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So, I feel a little embarrassed sitting in front of you. But talking about this verse, I think it's absolutely wonderful to see how when you start studying Srila Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gita, the first thing that he hits all the time, we're not this body, we're not this body, we're not this body. And now in the middle in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the more advanced scriptures, still, this is the point. So the point is that the living entity is eternal. That means we take neither birth nor death. It is all a reaction to our fruitive activities that we have done in the past. The body is actually a manifestation of our karma. So it's our desires, it's a manifestation of the previous desires that we have cultivated. And this is also, we can hear it as the animal changes owners. It's simply the same thing with the body. You know, the body comes into being, you know, and we have the soul comes into the body, gives life to it, and then the soul simply passes on to another body. It's nothing really complicated about it. What makes it complicated is us, our ahankara, our false ego. So, and this, when we're in the body, we feel happiness and distress, and one thing leads to another, and you know, we should also all the time remember we are so attached to these feelings that are in the body, but we are not actually part of that also. So all these feelings, they may be happy today, tomorrow they're sad, we're sad. So that means that whenever we feel some great joy, and you know, we should always remember that, okay, the next step that is building up for is great disappointment, and then we will be disappointed and not happy. But then when we're disappointed, we should remember the next step, okay, so nothing is permanent. It's also described in the 2nd chapter, right after this verse, Dehinos Minyadare, number 214. It says, Matra Spashashta Konteya, Shtoshna Shuddha Dugata, Agamapa Yino Nityas, Tangstatiks Svabarata. And that means that actually it's Queen Kundi, or not Queen Kundi, that's Krishna. He says, O son of Kundi, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress. They are like the non-permanent, and the dissipations do cause, are like the non-permanent appearance of winter and summer seasons. It means they change all the time. And then it says, the important part is, it simply comes from sense perceptions. It means it's something that we receive through our senses. And we try to understand, you know, things through our non-perfect senses. So that all leads to happiness and distress. So we should actually not be so eager for these things. So what we have to do is we have to actually apply this very important instructions that the son of Chitraketu is coming to now, instructing Chitraketu about the understanding of who we are and who we are not. In the explanation here, the purport, Prabhupada here quotes the verse 213. It says, and that means that as we come into the body, we have a consciousness. We have been watching through these eyes when we were a small child, and then we go through youth and to old age. And now I'm still a young man somewhat, and we get older, but it's still the same consciousness. We're still the same person that watching. Just things changes. Our mind may change a little bit, and this one changes, and that may change. But the person looking out, and if we actually think about it, we can also, okay, yeah, I was the same person. I was maybe many things I didn't understand at that time. I understand now, but still, that will disappear as soon as I leave my body. I have to start over again. So the most important thing in this verse is actually the last part of the verse that says Dhirastatra namuyati. That means a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. That means at the point when we leave our body, we simply come over to a new body, and that is We don't have to be confused or bewildered by that. We just have to become sober and understand what is really going on. Okay, and we have to apply the instructions. And how do we do that? That might be very easy to say, but maybe a little bit more complicated to do. But like I said, like the consciousness passes in this body even while we're here. Also, actually, even this body, it changes all the time. This body that I'm sitting here with is not the same body I was sitting with just a few minutes ago. Something was lost. I'm breathing, so something comes into the body, something comes out. I lose some particles of the skin, all these things. It's changing constantly. I'm breathing out something and you get to breathe in that, and so even between us, we change particles all the time. So, in order to understand this, we have to apply some things, and one very important thing is studying this philosophy. But studying is actually not enough, because we have to practice it also. Studying it is actually easy, but the proof of the pudding is in the taste. So if we really want to have strong faith in Prabhupada and in what we read, we have to practice at the same time. Otherwise we'll never find out if it's really true. It's the same thing that is if you're in the classroom and studying, you cannot learn how to drive a car without driving the car. So a teacher, he may, a driving teacher, he may have you in the classroom and he teach you all the theory, which is great, because theory is needed also. You cannot just sit in the room. So you know what is going on in the car. But then, to actually learn it, when we actually learn to drive the car, that's when we go into the car, turn the key, put it in gear, and start driving. That is when, and we will not be perfect drivers right away. So we have to practice, drive more and drive more and drive more. It's the same thing with Krishna consciousness and how to understand that we are not the body. We theoretically understand it. Some of you might understand it also practically now. I'm not there. But by following very strictly Srila Prabhupada, by following and reading the books, faith will be there. Faith in that whatever is written in these books will also come true, because we already all of us have some experience already, either in a kirtan or when we visit our parents or whatever. We have an experience that what Prabhupada has told us here, this is actually happening. We can feel that it gets difficult when we do these things, and it gets more easy when we do other things. So something we have to apply, something we have to not apply or stay away from. Maybe we already applied them in our previous life, but we have to stop applying them. There's also another verse that I like very much. It's in the second chapter also. It's in Bhagavad Gita, I'm speaking about Bhagavad Gita. It's in 259. It says, Visaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasa rajam rasopyasya paran krishna nivartate. And it means that the embodied soul can be restricted from sense enjoyment, though the taste for the sense objects remains. And what I like is the next thing, but ceasing such engagement by experiencing a higher taste. That means it's something we do. You experience something by actually applying it and doing it. Then you experience, this is working. That's why we will get a higher taste from actually engaging in this. And that's the only way that we can control our consciousness, our mind, and become Krishna conscious and actually become happy. There's also in the 9th chapter, 9.2, it's Raja Vija, Raja Guyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam, Prachaksavargamam Danyam, Sukham Kartam Api. And this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. But the most important part to me is that it gives direct perception of the self by realization. So it's the same point again. We realize, by realization, we have to realize we do it, we do something. We don't just sit around. And my point is also that how can I express it without being too okay? We very often may experience here in the temple and also other places that some people might show up, some devotees might show up that becomes very loud on certain points, which there's actually nothing wrong in pushing some points. But for instance, if you're pushing the point that we have to follow Srila Prabhupada, originally follow him very strictly, and you're not even following the instruction that he gives, you have no right to come to a place or sit in front of someone who is actually trying hard to follow and who's actually following the 4 regulative principles, doing what Prabhupada said, chanting 16 rounds a day. If you come and sit in front of such elevated personalities and start instructing in how to and how not to follow Prabhupada, you are a rascal number 1. You can only do one thing, and is come, be quiet, and listen. And if you're a little bit more advanced, you can humbly, you can try to render some service, but that's it. So we have to be very careful not to be like that. We have to be very careful that we are not trying to instruct someone who is more advanced than us, because it's offensive. Another thing is also, if you sit and you even have to be careful how you instruct persons who are completely new to Krishna consciousness, because if you sit and are allowed on some points which you have actually not realized yourself, or at least you are not following the instructions, those instructions, even people who are not in Krishna consciousness, they can see that they can sense this guy is not for real. So it's actually offensive also, to Srila Prabhupada. I mean, there's a space for everyone. Everyone can come and chant, including us. It's okay, but we have to be very careful when it comes to the point of preaching. We have to actually follow in order to be qualified to give. And that's another point. We get Krishna consciousness according to how much we give Krishna consciousness. So the point is, when someone comes and maybe start instructing, it's better to walk away or simply just try not to create a situation that becomes too loud in the temple. But you should always know you don't have to take instructions from each and every one person walking in through the door. You don't have to sit and listen. And not everyone who walks in through the door are entitled to actually speak. Many will do, but that's also because they're maybe really not aware of their position. But I also try not to be too loud, but I had some, that was a point I wanted to make today, because we have to make very sure that we follow Srila Prabhupada and all the instructions he gave us very strictly. It's not possible to take some of it and the rest we just speculate. It's also, if you hear someone who sits there and preach how important it is to strictly follow Srila Prabhupada, but you know that this person is maybe not following it, he's simply on the sentimental platform. That means it's mental speculation, all of it. So, in order not to be like that, we have to strictly follow, and most important, take the association of those who are more advanced. They're sitting here, so it's a good situation we have. So if we want to actually realize what the son of Chitraketu is saying in this verse, it's very easy. It can also be complicated. But we just have to do exactly what we're doing now and continue to do that. And it's not so, I was also speaking to Krishna yesterday, so we have to actually apply all the instructions to Srila Prabhupada. But if the base, is not there even, if we're not even able to follow the 4 regulative principles or chant 16 rounds a day, that has to be there in order for us to be able to preach. And that was the desire of Prabhupada, that we should desire Krishna, we should spread this Krishna conscious movement all over the world. So I think that, not think, but we have to very strictly apply this in our life, and have to be very careful from whom we listen. Yeah. I had so many points, but as usual, when I write a lot of things down, yeah, it doesn't happen. So is there any comments or questions? I have 2 pages. Is there any comments or questions? Hopefully many comments at least. Is that okay?
I was just thinking that to avoid that outsiders like this is coming and with many good ideas, but maybe in the wrong forum, like you're mentioning now, that perhaps we could also think about a way to accommodate or have a forum for the ones who afterward may come here often, or because some of their concerns may be genuine so you know what I mean, just like to think about something, because I'm sure that it's the intention may not be to confuse somebody, but
the intention
the situation may just happen very chaotic sometimes, but just if...
It might be great, it might be even, it might even be right, but the point is if they're not following, they should maybe try being a little more discreet before they start preaching. But the thing is that you're right, because they should have a forum also, but that's also what we're working on right now with the Bhakti Riksha and the council system. That means that on one-on-one, everyone can, just sit down and explain, talk nicely. But if, for instance, it's during a Sunday feast with many new people who are here for the first time, you have a person who cannot even control his own senses, who sit very loudly and preach something. I'm not saying what is right or wrong. I'm just saying, at least he should have the dignity and the decency to just be quiet and maybe, Prabhu, I disagree with what you said now. I don't understand, but on one-on-one. There should be a forum, and we are working on it. It's definitely needed.
But so if, like this incident happens, that a person who is not following starts preaching, should you just get your plate and get up and go somewhere else? Or?
Time, place, and circumstance. Try not to create a situation. I mean, if it's in the middle of many new people, you might have to even defeat him. But if it's you sit amongst other senior devotees and you can see, okay, best thing is just to keep quiet, then he will stop also. Then try not to create a situation when there are many people around. A person like that, I'm quite sure that he would also have that feeling afterwards, okay, maybe I stepped over the line or something. He might not, but anyway. If there's a forum for it, you can go into this, that's simply just... Because a person like that, becoming loud, losing the control of his senses, he's actually telling anyone, I don't have a clue about what I'm talking about, because I cannot even apply the most simple instruction from Srila Prabhupada. So no one should listen from me. Please, no one listen from me, because I'm rascal number one, I'm a fool. That's what he's saying, when he becomes really loud. A little strong point. Can you add some comments? There was some more fingers? Okay. It was a short class today, but I always tell the bhaktas when they give class, they don't have anything more to speak about. It's better to stop early than just keep on talking to stay awake. So I will do that now. We can stop a little early today and have a nice long prasadam conversation. Shla Prabhupada ki jai! Jai! Ki jai!